One of these days I'm going to get the lighting in here right. Oh well, not today. What's up everyone, welcome back to Stag voiceover. My name is Neil Glasgow. In today's video I wanted to talk to you about 4 common mistakes that people make and one big one that people really need to try and avoid. Stick with me to the end of the video because that one is the most important. If you've been following along with my series, I've been trying to give you the best possible advice I can to give you all the advantages that you need getting into voiceover in 2020 and into 2021. If you haven't seen any of those videos yet, I recommend going back, checking them out. There's some really great information in there and it'll give some context to this video. So, let's get into it. Mistake number 1 that you really need to try and avoid is over-editing your voiceover. It's a really common practice for people in voiceover to use one of or a combination of 3 things when they record: compression, EQ, and a noise gate. Now, you've heard me talk about some of these things before in previous videos. If you don't understand what to do with compression, EQ, or a noise gate, leave it alone. And trust me, leave it alone. Don't do anything. Don't even try. What I'll do in some upcoming videos is I'll show you what I do for my voice. Now notice I'm really emphasising me and I. The reason I'm doing that is we are all beautiful little snowflakes. My voice is different to your voice. My EQ and my compression and my noise gate are going to be different than yours. One of the things that I really recommend you don't do is exactly copy what someone else does with their compression, EQ and noise gate, because it's going to have a detrimental effect. You need to learn what works for your voice. So what I'll do in the upcoming videos is I'll show you what I do and give you the fundamentals so that you can understand what it is that you need to do. So keep following along with the series and I'll publish that video in the next couple of weeks. Mistake number 2 that a lot of people do when they're first starting out is they send massive files to agencies, to contacts, to whoever it is that they're trying to get the voice out to. They're sending 8, 9, 10 megabit files with their voices on it. And people just don't want to download those things. Now that's not to say, they see a big file and they just bin it. A lot of these corporate organisations, their servers flag up these emails with large content. And you don't need to be sending a 2-minute file, a 3-minute file, or 10 different small files for someone to get a flavour of your voice. You need to niche it down. You need to target specifically on what you do. So what I would recommend is when you are cutting your first demo or you have your first demo produced, you need to have 3 or 4 segments per file. So if you're doing a commercial demo, 3 or 4 segments in different styles in that one commercial demo. And each demo should be no more than 90 seconds long. And the shorter the better. Your aim is to give them a small flavour for what you can deliver. Sending them 5 different samples, 5 different styles in one email, they may not listen to it, and you're actually doing yourself a disservice. You've had that person's attention and you're kind of blowing it. So when you create these files, put them in a compressed zip. So right click, send to zip folder, that compresses it all down. So if you've got a 6 megabit file, you can send it as a 3 megabit file and they can unzip that when it gets on their end. Doesn't flag up too many issues on their servers. And actually in some of these territories, in some of these countries that you might be sending it to, their broadband might not be to the same standard as you might be used to. You might have unlimited broadband for your £30 a month. They might pay by the megabit. Just be conscious of that. Mistake number 3, mouth noise. Now, I'm going to do something a bit gross, but I have to give you an example. And what I'm talking about is, really, genuinely apologise. But what I'm talking about when you do that is, you make noise with your mouth all the time. Everybody all day makes noise with their mouth. And we zone it out. Same with your stomach rumbling and your heart beating. Your body makes noise all day long, but you filter it out because you're really used to it. But when that's in someone's ears, it's a really hideous sound. So there are lots of things that you can do to try to eliminate that. But the best solution is to stay hydrated. So that is really taking the sacrifice of, if you're going to be recording the next day, don't have a heavy night on the booze. Don't wake up in the morning and have 6 cups of coffee, because all that stuff does is it dehydrates you. It makes you pee. When you're dehydrated, the saliva in your mouth becomes thicker, and that's what creates that sound. And as you're talking anyway, your mouth fills with saliva, so you have to keep doing that swallowing sound. I'm going to stop making that noise for you now. But I've got a couple of tips and a couple of hacks that you might want to look at. So stay hydrated. Downing a pint of water isn't going to do it. Your body takes between 1.5 and 2 hours to absorb any water. So if you down that pint of water, chances are you're going to pee most of it out. So it's about making sure that if you have a coffee in the morning, get up early, have that cup of coffee, start recording at 9 o'clock if you can, because you're going to need that time to rehydrate yourself. But a couple of things that people talk about is things like green apples. That helps. By and large, you've got apple in your mouth, little bits of debris, that might not help. Green tea, people talk about. Chewing gum, I always have that in the booth. It's about generating the saliva in your mouth so that you don't have that thick sound. I'm going to give you a really good hack, and here comes the science. When they're talking about green apples or green tea or chewing gum, what they're trying to do is dilute the viscosity of your saliva. And something that I found really works for me, and I have it in my drink all the time, is a lime or a lemon or anything citrus. Now what this does is the acid in the lime, I put it in some water, and that coats my mouth, but that also dilutes the viscosity of the saliva in my mouth, and it actually makes me able to talk far clearer without any pops and clicks and that wet mouth noise that comes out. So I always have just water, half a lime, squeeze it in. Anytime I record, I keep that on. I have the chewing gum, and that's my quick and dirty hack to trying to get that mouth sound eliminated. But there's no substitute, absolutely no substitute for just staying hydrated. Mistake number 3, talking too fast. Now, as a Scottish person, my natural inflection is to actually talk quite fast. That's how people talk in Scotland. It's at pace. But what I know from living outside of Scotland is a lot of people really struggle to understand me. Now, I take that lesson into voiceover. If you're new and you're not classically trained, let's call it, in voiceover, your nerves, your intuition may be to just get through the script as quickly as you can because you want to make sure that you get it all through and you want to get it all done in the breath. Doesn't sound great. What you want to try to do is just take that breath, slow it down. There are far more receptive clients out there that just want to listen to how you deliver that script, to how you deliver your tone. And you need to think about what the purpose of the script is. If you're doing a corporate read, for example, and you're talking about the fiscal boom that they've had, you're going to want to give that in a really confident, really robust, this is how good we are, this is what we're going to do, here's the challenge ahead of us. If you're talking about a hospital that's struggling or a new cure and you want to bring in empathy, you need to soften your voice perhaps. But it all comes to the pace, to the slowness. People are engaged, they want to listen to what you're saying. That can sometimes be the key to you securing that role or not. It's slowing it down, understand what they do, find your points at which you pause. The pregnant pause is so powerful. Waiting for that other person to speak is a really powerful thing. So when you're doing a bit of voiceover, people should be listening in, wondering what the next word is that you're going to say, not trying to catch up and understand the litany of words that you've just spat out. And tip number 5, and this is the biggest one. If you've been following along with my series, I've talked about the amount of hours that you might put into this, the effort, the time, all those things to get into voiceover. And all those things are really important and you do have to do them. But the biggest mistake that you need to try to avoid is burnout. And I wanted to talk about this last because it's really important. I wanted to dedicate a bit of time to it. Burnout is a really big thing, particularly when you're starting out, particularly when you're just looking at any new venture. You do all the things and you go to bed thinking about all the things you've got to do tomorrow and the hours that you've done. And I'm quite bad myself, and I'm saying this because I can talk from my own experience. I'll dedicate 10, 12, 14 hours a day to doing this, to building what I need to build, to be successful in what I need to do. And sometimes I'll do that 5, 6, 7 days a week. And that's not something that I want to encourage anyone to do, is to work those type of hours, because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for anything, your mental health, your lifestyle, any of that stuff. So what I recommend you doing is setting your times and sticking to them. If you're going to do a Monday to Friday week, and if you can dedicate full-time hours to this, great, do that. Start at 6, 7, 8 a.m, whenever that is, and work through to a reasonable time. You start at 6 a.m. and you want to finish at 3, do that. That's still a hell of a day. That's a full day. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad about giving yourself that time, that downtime, because I promise you it is going to be needed. You do need to have that downtime. And it's one of the things that my lovely other half always tells me, to turn it off now. To make sure that I give my brain that time to recharge. And some days you're going to get to the point where you just think, I just can't be bothered to do this. It's too much. I just need a minute. Take those days. Do that. Have that time. Because I promise you it's really important. And one of the things that you must do, celebrate the wins, the small wins, whatever they may be. Your first client, whether it's £5 or £5,000, celebrate your first client. Celebrate your next client. Celebrate every client that you get. Every win, every response, everything that gives you validation for the effort that you've put in. You take that, do it, use it, and take what you've learned from it and turn it into something really positive. That's your motivation into the next thing. And it's so important when you do voiceover, when you run any business, and this is a business, this is your business, make sure that it doesn't become a burden. Make sure it's still something that you want to do and you strive to do and you love doing. This is a really great job. It just takes a lot of work. And that never really goes away. It becomes different work, but work is work, and better busy than bored and all that sort of stuff. But take the downtime. Try to avoid burnout. Set your time, set your goal, because nothing will turn you off of any new venture more than resenting the time and the headspace that it absorbs for you and for your family. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it interesting. As you know, I want to give you as much information as I possibly can to make you as successful as you possibly can. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. I'd love to start a conversation with you and perhaps start a video that is dedicated to your specific question. Leave me a like and subscribe. It genuinely helps out with the channel. Remember, you can absolutely be a voiceover artist. I'll see you in the next video.